Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Indices. The next session we have core retail sales and retail sales month on month, and unemployment claims, and the Philly Fed manufacturing index. So just keep a bit of an eye out for that. On the European side, we have the ECB press conference as well. They're all the we have also monetary policy too for the eurozone, the DAX. Rightio. So for the S&P here, now I want to talk in depth a little bit about some alternative counts, and it's going to be a little bit sort of confusing, but I do feel like it's necessary. Now, there's always good news and bad news, but so the bad news is there's a couple of counts. The good news is that they're both in the same direction, so it's not like a big deal. It's it's something that we need to handle, put it that way. With that said, let's go in. This is the weekly chart here, and obviously we can see that we've got, that we're in a trend to the upside, and there's two counts. So we've got this count here, and I do want to present another count as well, but it's got regard to being this wave one up here, 5 of 1 here. Because once we go from 4 to 5, we'll have 1 and back for 2 again. Now I know that's sort of debatable, and a lot of people will be thinking that's the top and the end of the world and all the rest of it, as many usually do, and one day they will be right. So in the meantime, though, we've got 1 and 2 here, and then we're going up for wave 3 here. So we're looking for 5 waves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for the third wave, the fourth wave, and the fifth wave. The other count over here is looking at basically looking for 5 waves up here and putting 1 and 2 over here for this. So this one over here would become wave 1 and 2 here. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming up for 1 and pulling back for 2 here. So this will be this count having 5 smaller waves in it. And we're going to be taking a look at that, of course, as we usually do. And we'll just keep monitoring the situation. But like I said, in both cases, we're heading higher. But in this case, we could get this situation here, so we need to understand that. So let's go do this one first, okay, because it's also on the daily chart here as well. So with this here, this is how it looks on the daily chart. So we have wave 4 here, we have 1 and 2, and going up for wave 3 here, and 4 and 5. And then we'll have our wave 5 of 1 up there and pull back for 2 and that sort of stuff. So this will be between 2 and 3. We're looking for 5 waves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And then wave 4 here. And then the other count for this will be, I've got it over here, where we have a little bit different. We have wave 4 here, and we have 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here for 1 and 2 here. So then we would obviously have, wave 3 up here, and wave 4 and so on, and wave 5 and yada yada yada. And I'll just put them in there for the time being. And we'll also just copy this one here, just try to do a bit of work on the hop. And would have that situation. So basically, we're going to be looking at this here in both ways. So basically, when this finishes here, wherever it finishes, it's really got to stay under this red line here. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But let's just, once this, let me just clean this up a little bit, shall we? Okay, let me just go back here for a second. I just want to talk about wavelengths here as well. So actually, Jal has put in another indicator for Elliott Wave that will display the pivots in the Elliott Wave algorithm. So another great function there. So if we look at this as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 coming up here, and there's a good case for this, by the way, because if we, as an example only, if we take a look at like one of the leading stocks, Facebook here, Meta, beg your pardon, 1, 2, 3 going into wave 4 here, and then going up for wave 5, that kind of makes sense. It looks looks okay, nothing to complain about that. So that would be going from wave 4 up to 1 and 2 at that point, and pulling back for wave 2. This wave 4 here's just why we're here, is, you know, playing out quite nicely here as a little ABC pattern here, and should be ready to push off up here, all that sort of stuff, but we don't need to go there. I just wanted to point out that this idea of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here exists in stocks, and so does the other count that we just had a look at as well. So what I want to point out here, though, is that this third wave here is shorter than wave 1 here. So that means that this move up here to wave 5 here, which comes in at that red line here, so that means that this top here would need to be shorter than that red line here. So we would need to have this wave 5 here shorter than wave 3 here, because wave 3 can't be the shortest. You can have the extension in wave 1, you can have it in wave 3, you can have it in wave 5. Just that stocks normally have it in wave 3 and commodities can tend to have it in wave 5 a lot. Yeah, so anyway, that's just one thing that, you know, we've talked about before, and we'll continue to talk about that. But this will be this count here, and once it finishes, then we'd see a sharp move down at that point. So we need to track it from here to here on this, and we also need to, obviously, we need to have a look at this where stock is in all of this as well. You know, we need to see where that's been created. We can see that in the banks as well. If I can just it doesn't matter, this one will do. So this is Goldilocks here, as I call them, Goldman's. So in this case here, we could look at this here in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, basically, without going into a huge amount of detail, this could be counted slightly. We can go 3, 4, and 5 here and finish, you know, and then have the ABC. So it's just not only in tech stocks. We'll be able to pick it up in the finance sector as well. So that's that. So that's they're the two counts. Basically, we do have a bearish count, but there's no need to look at that today, because I don't want to make things more confusing, but that's where that is. So we've got two counts to the upside. The important thing is yes, we know that there's two counts. The important thing is really, in the meantime, is just to track the 5 waves in here and line this up with stock in all of that. So this move up here, we'll look at that in a moment, but I want to go back to this picture. Let's just go to let's see if I've got it on the daily chart here. So this is this picture here where we have 1 and 2 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for the third wave, the fourth wave here, and then we're going up for the fifth wave in blue here. So the blue waves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coming up here for that. So there are other ways to count all of this, and because we're coming up into this top, we need to readdress it in a way, you know, because there are other ways to count this. If I just go into this chart here to make it sort of simple, is that we could view it as 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth, and then we're coming up for the third wave. Now, coming up to the third wave, we could look at it as we just have done then, as 1, 2, you know, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and building up, or we could put wave 1 over here and, you know, do the same sort of thing. But it doesn't really matter. What the point being here is that in the last markets we looked at, we had this wave 5 as the top coming in here, as with 1 on it and coming back for 2 here. But in this case, it leaves us with this wave 3 here and wave 4 here. And you could also count this differently here again. You could also put this over to here, you could drop this down to here, and you could also rearrange all of this and still get this 3, 4, and 5 here. So there is a variety of ways to view this situation. So it's not sort of set in stone. This is, I'll just take a bit of a left turn here, and this is a little bit weird, but this particular pattern here where we go, and this is just more of a social conversation we're having here, right? So so we'll be looking for 3, 4, and 5 up here, and then an ABC pattern here. Now this will be the same with the Nasdaq as well, and we can drag that over. I'm going to go into Bitcoin here, and Bitcoin can be the same here as well. We can have 2 counts for this. We'll look at it in a moment, but we can have wave 3, 4 here, so a 6-month correction into August here, and these lows here are sinking in with the Nasdaq now, so we can view this here as wave 4 going up for wave 5 of 3, and then 4 here, and then 5 here. And I really like this count because I understand the trading levels from 5, 8, and 1 here, and the medium level here. So, we look at this normally. These are all major levels here. The Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, and then we can go to 13, but we use the power of 10, so we go back to 1 again. We go 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, and then we can go to 20 and 30 and 50 and 80 and so on, so using the power of 10. So but normally on smaller levels would look at this area here as group 2, 65, 72, and 80 here. So I know how the market behaves in all of this space here, and what it's doing here at the moment, playing out into trying to find support in basically group 2 as a medium level here, 65. This will become, and normally when you look at level 1 up here, you end up with wave 3, 4, and 5 up here. So it's a bit like this. Well, it's not a bit like this. It is this pattern here. It's a classic trading levels pattern 1 here, where we have, if this was 100,000 through here, this would be 1, and this would be the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the ABC. So this is what's occurring. So we basically haven't even reached the level 1 here yet. We're still over here, but this support over here will be supported by what's happening in that 6-month correction that we just had from March to August here. So that's the way that it'll play out. So from here to here, this will be the support over here for all of this over here, and then this, and then this here. So this will be the classic trading levels pattern up here, the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, ABC pattern here. And of course the 80 will play out here as well. So this is, and it doesn't really matter if this was, 50 cents, 80 cents and $1, or $50 and $80 and $100. It's all the same psychology. It's the same, it's the same fractal, same repetition. So this particular count here, I really like this a lot. It fits into all of this really nicely. So I like it a lot. The other pattern here is, once again, because I'm using, the Nasdaq and the, the S&P pattern here. So because Bitcoin's, Wall Street, would see it as a tech stock, they wouldn't get into all the fluff of it just yet, but we are seeing some increased volume from BlackRock on the ETF side of things into this market, by the way. So the other count is putting wave 5 over here. So if I take this, just before we go there, this is the way I counted it up here for this. So I've got this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 and 3. Nice strong third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave for the third. So the other way that this is counted here is all the way up for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third and the fourth here, and then going up for the fifth wave here. So they're the 2 sort of counts in this. So it's just something that we need to start talking about a little bit more now, because we want answers the time we get up here further, and we need to know that we've done all our homework and we've checked everything. So yeah, that's all I'm saying about this, and also, you know, for this count as well. We've got plenty of time to talk about this, and we can do it in the chat lounge and, you know, on the website, and talk about ideas and work it through. And you know, it's good, you know, we would, yeah, anyway, it's healthy. So basically this is the other count here. So rather than having this top in here, we have this wave one here. So yeah, I mean, it opens the door for conversation, and conversation is good. And that, so now we need to go into this. We can forget about all of this, and we'll go into our count. So I think let's just go to the 20k here. So what I want to talk about here, this count here for the S&P has got two counts in it, so I don't need to worry about this too much. But basically the two counts would be that we've just looked at would either have this as 1 or 3 here, and this one would be 2 here or 4 here. They're the two different counts that are lined up here. Now this move here that's moved up here can be counted in two ways. So I want to just talk about that a little bit. And this particular move here that's come up from early October would be a little bit like Amazon here. So with Amazon here, can also be 2 or 4, 1 or 3. I won't go into all of that. But from the 8th or 7th here, we've pushed up for wave 1 here, and that's pretty clear to me as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and an ABC pattern coming back here. I won't go into the intraday here, but we're talking about putting trades into here. But what I'm saying here, there's stocks like this where we can look at the early October stuff here, that this is 1 and 2 here. Now this particular market is actually leading this market is leading to the upside. So this one's kind of one of the front runners, Amazon, for the markets. Okay, so that's kind of important. But that's where this wave 1 can come into play here. There is the count where we can have this as wave 1 here, and this here, and this here, and this here. And we have, just excuse me for a moment, we just move this out of the way here for a bit, and we have this as wave 1 and 2 in here. So that's the other count that could play out here as well. One of the important things here though is this price point here. Now all of this here is group 2, so this is 65. So when we're looking at Bitcoin, 65, 72 and 80 here, so this would be, you know, 65,000, 72,000 and 80,000 here. This is like what Bitcoin's done, you know, in group 2 here. Basically it's the same sort of thing. So basically later on, if we had a larger correction from here, then all of this becomes the support at that point. So yeah, look, this can be counted in two different ways, but stock is telling me that this will be the correct way here. And the other reason for looking at it like this here too, if I can just take a bit of extra time here, is that let me just, oh no, that justifies the other count. Yeah, the other count here, I can justify the other count with, say, the triple Q here as, well, I won't go into all of this too much, but 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5 here for this, and coming back for wave 2 at this point. And this sits in quite nicely in terms of the 61.8% retracement level, coming into the little pocket area here between 62 and 65. So that's quite nicely. If I take this down to this particular point here, and look at this as wave 1 up here, then I'm at the 50%. So there is a case for both sides, but and the same for the SPY here as well, the SPY. I can look at it as 1 and 2 here, and then counting up here. It's a little bit messy, but basically 1 and 2 in here, and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, ABC for this finishing here, and pushing up at this point, building that little impulse wave, because this little impulse wave here would be like if I come back over to to Amazon here and look at this little move here, and we're on 1,000 ticks. So if we go to zoom in 10 times here, then this would be it here. So this move here, this was already leading yesterday here, so we didn't want to go long here because we know we'd get an ABC. So we got the ABC, and we're talking about building in through this over here. So this is that particular pattern ahead of the game here on this. So yeah, I'll just move these out of the way here. So we can view, going back to the S&P, we can view this in two different ways. There was one thing that I wanted to talk about. The other reason for having this as 1 and 2 here is that the Nasdaq futures has pulled back down further here, so it sort of helps with that situation. So we're on 20k ticks here. If we go to 1000 ticks here, so looking at this here as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up here, which also works 1, 2, and 5 way 3, 4, 5 here, and 4 and 5 here for this. So having it as 1 and 2 here in this case. So I mean, it's the end of the session, so it's it's selling off here a little bit, but basically we're talking about in here in the stocks video, we're talking about here of looking for wave 1 up here and wave 2 as the safe trade here for this. So first of all, we do not have an impulse wave up here, and it's from the top to the bottom here, it's in the little pocket here, the 62 to 65%. So this is reacting at the 61.8%, and also the midpoint 550 here. So it's important, halfway mark between 800 and 900 here. So we've got 1, 2, 3 is group 1, the midpoint, and then we've got group 2 here. So couldn't find support in group 2. So if you're going to go long here in this, then you want it a bit safer. Then you want the 58.50, the midpoint here, to be the support, a tested support, and that would also be above the 61.8% at that point, because it is possible to count this down as 5 waves. Not that good looking, but it's sort of okay-ish, I guess, but counts better as a corrective wave, even though it looks like pretty much a straight line. So if it's going to fail, this is where it's going to fail from. So if you want a safe trade, you want to eyeball the 50 here as a tested support. Okay, I don't want to waffle on too much longer. This is the Nasdaq here, so we can have 2 counts for this. One of them is 1, 2, 3, 4, and going up for 5 here. And yeah, so in this case, we can look at this. We can look at this in the same way. You can kind of see here that it looks kind of better as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of a little bit boxy, but you can see it's there in that case. Could we put the top in here? We could, but the problem with that is that stocks like Facebook that have gone through this ABC pattern here, and we're talking about not this one, I haven't updated that one for eons, so the daily chart will do the trick. So this one here has only got 3 waves to the upside, so we still need to have more to the upside here for this, and just not only Meta here, but also the banks as well, all that sort of stuff. So we can't put that wave 5 here, so we've got to put it over here somewhere. So we need to look at this here as basically 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5 here for this, and then have this here that can pull back down here. But when we get to this point up here and we get 5 waves up here, I mean, wave 4 will become obvious, and then we can just track 5 waves up here and get it pretty close, and then we just sit and chill and wait to see if we get a deep pullback here or we get a shallow pullback here and we go up again, because that will be the difference. So we just need to wait patiently while this resolves itself, and then we can just get back in and off we go again. And if it pulls back down here, it's going to come down, reasonably sharp, because it will be some event, so I'm not interested in trading against the trend at this point. I'm not around large numbers and all that sort of stuff, but that's that. And let's just go into this on the intraday here and just have a bit of a look at this here. So in this case here, looking at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1, and back for wave 2, and it's come back into the 50s, not the 61.8%, but this here. So it does make a nice 1 and 2 here, and as I said, it kind of lines up with Amazon here in terms of this wave 1 here, this whole move up here for 1 and 2. It's just that we looked at that before on the 1000 rather than 100 here. So this move up here for this, just as an example. So yeah, if you want a safe trade here, the stop needs to go under here. Don't put the stop at whole numbers. That's just not the done thing. So normally what happens, the market will come down, hit a number, and then it'll bounce back, and then it'll come through here, and then it'll retest. So that's where the stop needs to go. Don't put the stop, at 9.99 or some stupid thing, So, and if you want the safe trade here, then you want the safe trade to be, on this number here, the 3, the top of. This is, major level 2 here. The first minor level is here at 21, and then 22 and 23. That makes it minor group 1. So we're still in minor group 1 at this point. But between this number and this number here, we've got the Fibonacci numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. And then when we talk about 8, we always talk about group 2. So this is subgroup 1 here. So we could never find support on subgroup 1. Trading above subgroup 1 is not tested support. This is testing it here where it failed. And we need it to become the tested support over here now. So that means that we'll need to basically look for a pattern like this here on that 20,300 here. So you'll have the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. You can go long above this top, or refine it further to this top. And inside of this little move here will be this bigger fractal pattern here. So you'll be able to really refine that and drop that entry down here. And what you're really looking for is that impulse wave here, because if you get an impulse wave here, then you can be assured that you're going to get another one over here. So, and you can manage the risk much better as well if you do everything right. So basically, if I can just go over that again, you'll be looking for 5 waves up here, right? But when you get up here, it'll be the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern. It can come back to 2. It can actually come back to 15 here. But 2 will be logical because of the support here, and then it'll be up from that point. So this becomes that top over here for the long trade, and over here. Any sort of fancy footwork in here will be at risk, but that's for the young bloods. The money's in the turn, as they say. But that's that. Do I need to go into 1000 here just to have a look? Yeah, it's just building the impulse wave off the low here and the end of the session here, so a little bit sort of sad. So we're looking for 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. I know there's overlap, but I'm not worried about that at the end of the session. So we'll look for 5, 4 and 5 and 4 and then this wave 1 up here. So this wave 1 will be, it'll give you a classic trading levels pattern at that 300 here and there, and then that will be the safe trade at that point. So we're a long way from that at the moment, but yeah, you can build in and do what you need to do. So, but once you got this, you're much safer, and then you're safer taking this one here. So anything below this is doable, but it's higher risk, and if it's higher risk, then you need to make these positions here smaller. It's nice to have a small position so you can, comfortably go with the next trade. Okay, so moving on to the Russell here, we can do the same here as well. We can look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and going up for wave 5 here. We'll have to go up here and then have this wave 1 here, and then we'll come back for wave 2 over here. Or we could have this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. They're the 2 different counts. Once again, this move here, I want to see it smaller than this one here. I don't want wave 3 here to be the smallest. You can see that wave 1 here is longer than this one here. So it looks like a wave 4 here, but we still got to kind of check the length of it a bit. So just eyeballing this, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for 1 and 2 into this point here, but be a little bit careful, maybe pull it apart, because it may be that this is the little top here, and we'll get a little sharper move down to cover this gap here, and then a move up from that point. So just be a little bit careful about this here. It's moving along quite nicely, but I haven't really sort of recommended it as a trade, because I feel that there's better markets out there at the moment on that. We come over to the DAX, and it's the same thing here as the other markets. In this case, it's clear we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and this market follows the S&P. So there's a good case for having wave 5 up here. This is our primary count, and it's how we get here. Now, do we have this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and building up to the third wave and all that sort of stuff? Or do we put wave 1 up here like with the other markets and have this as wave 2 here in that diagonal pattern to the upside? So that's something that we sort of continue to talk about. One of the other things that we need to talk about is that this length of wave 3 here is shorter than this wave 1 here. Not by a lot, but by a bit. So that means that we would want the wave 5 up here, this red line here, we'd want this wave 5 up here to be lower than that red line there. So it's just another little thing we just need to take note on. The FTSE's doing the same sort of pattern here, but the FTSE hasn't taken out the tops here, but was kind of looking at it at the same way. So on the daily chart, because that was the weekly chart there, so now we can see it like this here, where we have 3 and yada 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 for wave 4. We can have it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We could also have it 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 here, and 5 over here for wave 1 over here. So these are the sort of the same two counts that we can do here. I mean, it's okay to track these in their own way, and we'll keep talking about them until the cows come home, but at least they're in the same direction, so that's the good news on those. Let's just cut through to I don't know if I've updated the 20 here. I just want to have a look. Okay, well, this is this count here. Sorry about that. So as 1, 2, 3, 4, and going up for wave 5 here. So like the S&P and many other markets, it's really, it's all the focus is around this move here, how that's going to play out. So taking that on board and going into that. So basically this low here can be wave 4 or wave 2, and we're counting to the upside here. We could do the same thing as we've just done to the other markets and put wave 1 and 2 here for this. That's doable at this point with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. We've got to kind of consider it because the DAX will move in line with the S&P. Normally they're sort of humming along together, but at the same time they can wander off from each other for a while. They'll come back. So we've been counting it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then the third wave up here. That kind of makes sense, and the wave 4's pulled back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. So there's no need to change this at the moment. We're looking for a low in here sort of yesterday, and that's sort of playing out. So just, for the meantime here, we can just stay where we are. And obviously we'll look for wave 5 up here that needs to take the top out here. So we'll track 5 waves up here. It may not be obvious at first, but eventually as we start to notice wave 3, and then wave 4 normally sticks out, and those sort of things. And then we'll see wave 4 here, and then we'll see wave 5 up here. And if we need to make any adjustments, as 1 and 2 here, then we'll do that as the market unfolds. These positions here are all pretty safe and tidy at this stage. Have I updated this one here? No, but this number here, this is just on 100 ticks, and I haven't updated it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, the thing here, if you wanted to go, see, this is starting to develop as an impulse wave here. So what you want to see next is just the basic pattern here. You want to see something, you want to see it climb and snake along this here, and that will be your trade at that point. So you have to wait for the first high above the level. It's like this one here. Don't go long into big numbers. It's, you've got to kind of, anyway, the story. So that's the DAX, and then we come over to the FTSE, and the FTSE here is making a move now. Like I said, this particular pattern here from 3 to 4 is exactly the same as, well, exactly, but that's not true, is roughly the same as the the DAX, except the DAX has taken out this top here and, you know, had a wave one that took out the top or whatever and has made a good move. So this one here has been a bit, you know, has been a bit of a nightmare through here. I can look at this in two ways here. I mean, first of all, even though it's going through all of this here, I really wanted to kind of keep this market with the herd, you know, even though it's been a bit sick. So yeah, so we can look at wave 1 and 2 here. That would be pretty much in line with everything else. And then we can look at it as 1 and 2 here. And then 1 and 2 here, and we'll look at that in a moment. This does not count very nicely as a wave 1 here, so it's quite possible to put this wave 2 over here. So I don't know if I got this one or this one just yet. It doesn't make a big deal. Our goal was to pretty much go long above the high here on the 8.3 here. So yeah, so I'll just remove that, it's just noise. So yeah, the main point here, I don't know if I got 2 or 2 here for this, so that's a bit of an issue that I've got to kind of resolve a little bit. Yeah, so this, anyway, I'll get to that. I'll just see what I've got on the 20. I don't know if I've updated this here. Oh, okay, so this is, yeah, I haven't been as lazy as I thought I was. So yeah, 1 here with the A, the B, and the C wave here. That's how the other count would go. But the problem with this count here is it just puts it too far behind the other markets, the other indices. So that's a bit of an issue for me, you know. But either way, basically what we wanted to do was to look for long trades on this number here, the top of minor group 1 of major trading level 8 here. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and yada yada to the upside. And based on that, we were working in here on this here. So this will just yesterday. So we could have this as wave 2 here. We could have this as wave 2 here. All of these sort of things, you know. And if this is this wave 2, then this one here becomes wave 1 over here, all of that sort of stuff. So I'll just give it a bit more consideration. You know that I've been all this week looking at this being bullish, even though it was like a dog's breakfast, because it was simply, you know, I felt it was safer to stay with the herd, you know, even though the wave count was shite, you know. So anyway, we were looking for our wave 2 yesterday, so we got that low, and then we've seen it pop here, and we were looking for a classic trading levels pattern on this here. Now, I have to say, it's not the best looking trading levels pattern here, but if we go down into maybe the 100 ticks here just to have a bit better look at it, it'll sort of stick out a bit better. So this is the 8.3 here. I'm just going to push this up to here and grab something that's got a bit more gravity into it. So basically at the 8.3 here, I'll just push this up to there. At the 8.3 here, we've got the arrival, the reaction, and the first high above the level. Then we've got some sort of, you know, corrective pattern here. So the idea is really to look for that top there and then just keep bringing that down until you get clicked in, you know, or wait for this one over here. So it's not the most prettiest picture, but let's just say that somewhere over here you see it going up again based on that number there. It looks pretty obvious that you need to be long at that point. Do you know what I mean? So it might not have been perfect and all the rest of it, but yeah, it's there, you know, there it is in its own little way, and now we're pushing up, and so yeah, so let's just go back to the 1000 here, and let's just imagine that in some way or another that we got in here at that would be the latest worst possible scenario, so we can just sort of work some stops from this point here on the way up here. So for the time being, we'll just leave it there. You could take it up a little bit. You could probably get it up a bit high. You could get it up into about here somewhere, but you don't want to go up any higher, because if this is going to pull back in another 1 and 2, then you're going to be screwed at that point. So so at the 8.3 here, and what it really means here is that if it did come down here, it would be like this here, you know. So it's the first low below the level that you really want the stop to be at, you know. I'm just going to delete this here. And yeah, so that's that. So yeah, it should just continue to push up through the levels. And then over to the Australian market. So with the Aussie market, we can look at it in different ways as well. So we can look at it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for 1, and then coming back for an ABC for 2 here. And we could also look at this as being wave 1 over here, and looking at this as wave 1 here, and drag it up further at that point. So we've got 2 counts here. The main focus is this little move here. So it could be a wave 5, or it could turn into a wave 3 up here. That's the other thing. So if we go from 1 day to 20k here, they'll go back to this count here. So this count here would take us up higher. So there's, this is a good possibility as well. And yeah, so that's that in that case. I think the main point here is that we really want to see, because this one here is longer and this one's shorter. If this was wave 3 here, for example, and this was wave 1 over here, this one's shorter, isn't it? So this one here needs to be shorter still. So that's something that we'll be looking at as time goes on, because if this one here becomes longer than this one, still got a long way to go, then we'll have this count. So shortly we will know, in these markets, and what will happen is that some stock will, become, the first one to break it, and then another one, and then the indices will start fold that way as well. So yeah, so all we're focused on is moving up here in 5 waves. So we can see we got 1 and 2 in here, so we got the 3rd wave coming in here on this. So if we just cut to the chase here on this, yesterday we were looking at yesterday we were looking for that wave 4 low there, which we also nailed. So we got 1 here, just to fill in join the dots up here. We've got 1 and 2, and then we're going up for 3 here, and then we'll have wave 4, and then we'll have wave 5. So it will be something like this here. Okay, so now we've got to break this down. So this wave 4 here, we can see that we could label this here as 1 and 2, and I think we could probably go 3 and 4 here, 4 in here. I'll double check that in a moment and make some adjustments, and wave 5 here. So we'll basically top into the full moon here. So I know that's a bit sort of moony, but it does fit into the picture in some way when you have a look at the moon cycle and the pattern of the 1987 crash and the 1929 crash. The pattern at the top and the moon cycles just match each other. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, it's beyond my pay grade. So that's that. So let's just go in, we'll pick it up in here, we'll just focus on this here. So basically that 8.4 there, that's going to give you the grief, and that's your target. So at 1 here, 100. Okay, so we've got our wave 4 that we were looking at yesterday. So there's no qualms about this being wave 1 and 2 in here. And we're looking at this possibly being wave 3 and 4 here. So we'll just do a little bit of work on that. Okay, so that could be wave 5 there. So don't really have 5 waves up here. We've got 3 waves here so far. I mean, it could be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and move up here further. That's possible. But it also too, this wave 4 could come over here, and this could be the A wave and ABC for the B wave, and then down for 1, back for 2 here in this one, I guess. Not very nice. Looks like it wants to go up here, but Thursday's got a habit of opening higher and then trading lower for the day. Thursday, that will leave Friday bullish as well. I just do want to have a bit of a look in here, if I can just grab that. I have to use that as 1. I'll have to go further. I have to halve that and just have a quick look. Yeah, well, that sort of looks like it about here as 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third, the fourth. That would leave the fifth here, which is a little bit hard to see in here, but it would be the 1 and 2 here. So I think that is the top of the third. I just don't know about this here. This can be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, but it's sort of breaking this here. So I'm not quite sure about that, actually. In terms of, we're at the midpoint, the 50 here. So really, if you wanted to go long, it's just really a matter of taking that high out here, I guess. But also, too, when we're at the 50 here, then we will be at group 2. So this will be, I'll be using these larger ones. So that's 80. So we've got 3, 5, and 8, and then 65 here, 65. So 83, 65, and the 72 in here. So it couldn't really get support in that group 2 area there. So it couldn't get support there. So basically what you're looking for is a little classic trading levels pattern on the 65 to go to the upside to get to the 4 here. But if it breaches this low here, then you know that the wave 4 that we're just talking about will need to be this wave 4 over here, will need to be over here for that. That will be the difference, you know. And if it does drop down here, then look for the classic trading levels pattern on here to go long, okay? Bring that down onto this one here. Okay, it's a long video, sorry about that. Cheers.